So we're going to talk about the digestive systems of multicellular organisms, and this includes both the Hydra and the human digestive system. So if we start with the Hydra and we look at its structure, this organism is related to the jellyfish, and it is quite small and lives in fresh water. It's basic, undifferentiated, with a sac-like gut, and it has one single opening that's surrounded by its tentacles. This serves as both a mouth for the ingestion of nutrition and an anus for the egestion. If we now look at how digestion takes place for the Hydra, it's a combination of both extracellular and intracellular digestion. And it involves both mechanical, so contracting of this gut cavity, and chemical digestion, which starts with the extracellular hydrolytic enzymes. So once the food is started being broken down extracellularly, fragments are then absorbed into the cells lining the gut cavity by phagocytosis. Intracellular digestion then completes the breakdown of food within the food vacuoles inside the Hydra. Undigested material is then egested. One thing to note is sometimes this cavity is called the gastrovascular cavity, and this is because it's responsible for both the digestion, gastro, and for the transport of nutrients, vascular, around the Hydra. So now if we move to the human digestive system, it's a lot more complex than the Hydra. And the first thing to note is that it doesn't have one single opening. It has two. So it has one opening for ingestion of food in the mouth and a separate opening for egestion of food, the anus, via feces. Also has different regions of the gut which are adapted for different functions and have different pHs. In terms of breaking down the food or digestion of the food, remember that digestion is the process where large insoluble molecules are broken down into smaller soluble molecules so they can be absorbed. This takes place via both mechanical digestion, which can be done by the teeth, or muscular action in the stomach. It also involves chemical digestion, which can be done by enzymes, which all operate with a different optimum pH in different regions of the gut and are responsible for breaking down different types of nutrition, whether that is carbohydrates, proteins, or fats. This type of gut increases the efficiency of digestion and also means that the organism is able to eat and digest a wide range of food, unlike the Hydra, for example. So if we take it step by step, we're going to start in the buccal cavity or the mouth. So imagine, you can be the giraffe, but imagine eating some food and you can see there's already some mechanical digestion happening here. So in addition to mechanical digestion, which is chewing or grinding of the food, there is also chemical digestion. And in the mouth, this is due to salivary amylase, which is an enzyme released by the salivary glands. This breaks down starch into the disaccharide maltose. Next, we move from the mouth to the esophagus. And the esophagus is a straight, narrow tube with a muscular wall which carries food to the stomach by the process of peristalsis. And this involves both circular and longitudinal muscles. If we look at it here, we can see the donut has moved from the mouth to the esophagus, which is essentially connecting it from the mouth to the stomach. And as we said, this peristalsis process happens, which involves the contraction of the circular muscle behind the bolus of food, combined with the relaxation of the longitudinal muscles in front of the food, which forces it down the gut. And this kind of waves of contraction propels it down all the way to the stomach. And now once the food reaches the stomach, there's again involved both chemical and mechanical digestion. So chemical involves some enzymes which help start to break down protein, pepsin, which the precursor is pepsinogen, and it's activated by hydrochloric acid to form pepsin. You've also got mechanical digestion, where you can see the mixing and the churning of the stomach. This produces chyme, which is an acidic fluid which passes from the stomach to the small intestine, and it consists of gastric juices and partially digested food. If we look at a bit more detail in terms of the gastric glands which produce this gastric juice, it's the kind of key components that are needed in the stomach. So we've got the chief cell, which secretes pepsinogen, which is a precursor enzyme, which is activated by hydrochloric acid to form pepsin. Pepsin helps to break down protein. And we'll talk more about enzymes in another video, but it's just to make you aware of it. We've also got mucus, which is produced, and this helps protect self-digestion and lubrication. And this is all involved in the gastric juice of the stomach. Now we go to the small intestine, and this is kind of a key site where digestion and absorption occurs. And it involves both the duodenum and the ileum. So if we look at the small intestine in a bit more detail, as I've said before, this is the key site of digestion and absorption. The duodenum is the shorter, the first part of the small intestine, and the ileum is the longer part, and it's the main site of absorption. The small intestine is lined with villi, and these villi have a large surface area to help the absorption of food. And we'll look more at the detailed structure in another video. Also, part of what's inside the small intestine is bile, which helps with the breakdown of fat. Bile is produced in the liver, stored in the gallbladder, and travels down the bile duct towards the duodenum. Pancreatic juice is also in the duodenum, and this is released from the pancreas and consists of lots of enzymes such as trypsin, lipase, amylase, which are all essential for digestion. You've also got the Brunus gland, which is essentially an alkaline fluid, and this helps protect the mucosa layer of the stomach, of the small intestine, from the acidic stomach contents. If we now move towards the large intestine, so the main role of the large intestine, you can see this image here, is the reabsorption of water, and then before the undigested food gets egested out of the body. Just to show the food getting egested outside the body. But if we look more at the large intestine, we can see the reabsorption of water is the main role of it. And there are different parts. The cecum is the first part, and this is where the ileum opens up into the large intestine. This is where undigested food and the remaining water and minerals first pass into the colon. The colon is the main part of the large intestine, and this is where the rest of the water and the mineral salts are absorbed. This leaves a semi-solid mass of undigested food, dead intestinal cells, and bacteria, and this forms the feces. The rectum is the last part of the large intestine, and it's a muscular tube that temporarily stores the feces before they are eliminated from the body. So before they are egested, like the image of the previous dog before. So that's kind of an overview of the human digestive systems. We're going to go into a lot more detail in terms of what enzymes are involved in the human digestive systems, and a bit more about the structure and the histology of the duodenum and the ileum in another video.